plethora of around 8 speakers who will be And the third and the final session in a Toastmaster meeting is the evaluation session, wherein the general evaluator and other evaluators give feedback to the whole meeting as well as the prepared speeches. Now, moving ahead to support with this particular meeting, like how we have seen in orchestra, the conductor has the whole supporting team. And for conducting a Toastmasters meeting, I have the 3 pillars. The first is the timer, and I would request the timer, Toastmaster Libby, to read out the rule.
Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. Good evening, Toastmaster of the day, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I am that mouse for today, or your timer. I would be running up and down the clock. As a timer, my responsibility is to time the prepared speeches and the evaluators. Today, we are not having the table topics. With respect to prepared speeches, the time allotted differs from project to project. For example, an icebreaker speech would be 4 to 6 minutes. For evaluation, the time allotted is 2 to 3 minutes. And for the evaluation and the prepared speeches, there is a grace mark of 30 seconds, which is given at the minimum before the minimum qualifying time and at the maximum qualifying time. At the minimum qualifying time, I will be showing a green card. At the midpoint of the time, I would be showing a yellow card. At the maximum qualifying time, I would be showing a red card. Speakers who exceed the maximum qualifying time and the 30 seconds grace after that will not be considered for the voting for the awards which happen at the end of the meeting. I will give my report when called upon by the general evaluator. Thank you.
Now I would call upon the second role player, the R counter, today played by Toastmaster Genie. Please welcome with a round of applause.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sanish. I'm sure all of us, and the benefit of being the role counter, that nobody's going to count my hours because I just started with one. If we all want to be adept at public speaking, the very first thing is awareness of things that get in the way. And fillers are things that distract from the speaker's message. So I'm going to help our speakers today, another one, by becoming aware of their R's or fillers or crutch words, which could be sometimes typical to a particular person. And I'll share my report when I'm called upon. Thank you.
And the final pillar of the tag team, grammarian, today played by Toastmaster Sandhya. I would request her to call up.
Okay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. American author once said, grammar is a piano I play by my ears. So that's the writer's way of saying good grammar makes your words soothing like a music from a piano. As a grammarian, my role would be making a note of all the good and bad, good and incorrect usage of words, also the incorrect pronunciations. So I'm also supposed to introduce you to the word of the day, which is adept, which means very skilled or expert at something. So it can be used in such a way. So as the theme is music, I'll be using it on this theme. She is an adept musician who can play multiple instruments. And the phrase of the day is, under the weather. I was bit under the weather yesterday. So I hope everyone uses word of the day and phrase of the day to the maximum. Thank you. So I'll be back once I'm called upon. Thank you.
Now, one of the most important, or I would say most seen facets is movies, where we listen to music a lot. How many people enjoy watching horror movies? I see a lot of girls' hands going up. Yeah, I have seen that, especially girls talking. We want to watch horror movies, horror movies. So if we look at the horror movies, and if you're afraid, just mute it, right? The whole feeling of scared or afraid, that is created primarily by the music. So that kind of effect music has on the whole movie. Now, as we'll be going through today's session, I'll be playing couple of music, and I'll be looking at how many people are good at listening, remembering, and recognizing which song it belongs to. And we don't want chaos. And maybe we should ask the president to hold back. She's an amazing quiz player, so that everybody else gets the fair option. So we don't want chaos. So the moment you recognize, raise your hands up so that we know who is that person. So everybody in? Yes. Okay. So this is the first one. Amit, I'll give it to Amit. Which? Yeah. Correct. So next, everybody with their eyes over. Krati. Yeah. Give a warm round of applause. And final one for now. This is an old one. This is a very, very old one. I'll give a clue of the hero's name. Amir Khan. No, no. Okay, listen. No. Yeah. No, no. No, no, she had also raised. I told her president is very, very sharp when it comes to quizzes. So as we go further, we will play these songs. But for now, we'll come back to the Toastmasters world and we'll look at the prepared speech. And the evaluator for the first speech is myself. So before calling upon the speaker, the speech objective is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club. Timer, please note, the time is 4 to 6 minutes. And now it requires the Toastmaster to come aboard. Toastmaster Dhwani. Toastmaster Dhwani, life is a race. Life is a race. Toastmaster Dhwani.
Once upon a time, Dr. Veeru Sahasrabuddhe, nickname Virus, said, "Life is a race. अगर तुम तेज नहीं भागोगे, कोई तुम्हें कुचलकर आगे निकल जाएगा." Hello to one and all present here. This is Dwanisha, and my topic is Life is a Race. On 21st April 2003, a miracle happened. I was born. And I'm thankful to God for each and every second since then. But most importantly, for House of Crazies, which included 4 people in it: grandparents and parents. Being the only child at the house means you're the most over-pampered person. This over-pampering had to end someday. So my dad came up with an amazing idea.
That was, if I achieve something, only then will I get something. Fair reward system, that is what I used to call it. Then came the never ending list of achievements. From sitting in the corner of the class gossiping to representing school in dance, craft, music, handball, basketball. From being the weakest in the class to becoming black belt in karate. From say, hiding in the washrooms on sports day to becoming under 16, under 19 champion of the school, winning gold medals at district and running marathons now. From doodling in arts to clearing elementary intermediate exams, now taking shapes of beautiful canvas. From being that person, average student who's never scored above 65% to getting 90% in 10th board exams. I think I did pretty well. And why this is right. Life is a race. If you don't run fast, someone else will walk all over you. Then came COVID. And for this overly active person, it felt like a complete cage. As soon as I got used to the so called new normal, there was a time in my life where I had to decide what career do I choose. So, like every other Gen Z, I went on Google and I searched, what is the highest paying profession in commerce? Any guesses? CA, Chartered Accountancy. I also happened to hear a guy named Mr. Narendra Modi saying that sign of a CA is more valuable than the sign of the Prime Minister himself. Well, that was convincing enough. So on December 2021, I gave my CA foundation exam. Fast forward to Feb 10, 2022, result day. Trauma of my life. Whether to go to Bali or Australia, which leads to order when to keep the party, because reward. And results came. I went online, I checked, I put my roll number, I entered, and it saw PASS. I knew 2022 was my year. So starting from horse riding camp in Pune to Surat for a wedding, Lonavala, Udaipur, Jaipur, Nadwara, Goa, with friends, with family, staycations, celebrating every festival other than Diwali. Not because I did not like it. It was my inter-CA exams then. After giving that exams, I enrolled myself for a 15 days training program by ICAI. And it went pretty good. I learned bunking lectures, eating during the class, and making friends. After those 15 days, I found myself backpacking for Bali this time, and it was an amazing trip. We came back, celebrated New Year's. I went on a trip with friends. That was an amazing year. It was 10th January 2023, a day that would escalate my life. Result day, trauma of my life. Whether to go to Australia or Europe, which weeks to order and when to give the. Hello? Okay. Results came early that day. Well, I went online, I checked my results, I put my roll number, entered, and it saw FAIL. I knew that there was some mistake. I reloaded the page, I entered it again. I more entered it carefully this time and saw FAIL for the next thousands of times until I was satisfied by, okay, it's not going to change. Went back. I isolated myself for the next 4 months, studied day and night, slept with the books, I guess, and it still managed to give my best attempt on May 23. Happened to fail again. So this time, like every other Gen Z, I ended up to a counselor. And there was a conversation going between us. We were talking, and he told, and I quote, life is not a race, it's a journey. And at the end of this journey, there's no one waiting for you with a gold medal. And that 20-year-old sitting in front of a counselor did not know what to say or respond to him because all those achievements, this bubble just broke down. He continued, he said, marathon, trekking, and solo exploring are no races because we all love to trek. But the view doesn't change even if you reach first or last. Solo explorers might have a few deserted nights, but it is only for one to realize that you cannot depend on someone else for your own happiness. And lastly, you cannot sprint at the very beginning of a marathon because that way you'll never finish one. You need to know your own pace. Be consistent to it. Only then can you finish one. That 20-year-old girl is right in front of you right now, still confused, having questions that are unanswered. But there's one thing that I'm very sure about right now is that no matter what, I'm not going to give up on this journey of ups and downs, highs and lows, success and failures, happiness and sadness, because after all, it's life. And it's meant to be that way. I'd like to conclude by saying that there are viruses present in our society ready to misguide us. Let's just pause, look around, because it's beautiful. Thank you.
An amazing icebreaker speech, but I will withhold my feedback during the gender evaluation session. The next three speeches are also icebreaker speech, and I'll be just mentioning the name of the evaluator since the project objective is going to be the same. And interim, coming back to the world of music, we'll come back to the quizzes. I know everybody wants to raise their hand. The people who did not get the opportunity, they are waiting. Next time, we will come back to that. But music is not just about movies. If we look, it also in today's world helps in healing as well. The certain people who are suffering from Parkinson's or other neuro diseases, it has many research has found that music is considered as therapy also for healing them, and there are many studies which is happening. If we look, many athletics, many sports people, just to put themselves into the zone, they listen to music or song. If we go to the ground in early morning, we see many people going and listening to the music to put themselves in the good mood. Now, just a reiteration, many of you must have got the feedback form. Do fill out the feedback form. It's a very important input for the speakers who have put in a lot of time and are giving over here. Today they are giving the speech. You will be providing the feedback. And tomorrow you may be giving the speech and they will be giving the feedback. So do take out the time and effort to put in the points, and either at the end of the session you can share with the respective speaker or sergeant at arms to give it to the speaker. If anybody needs, just raise your hand and then we'll share the. So we all have the go-to list to music to put ourselves in that good zone. And there are many takes on it. But if we broadly look at it, one of the known categories are five. That is the Hindustani music, the Western music, the Rabindra music, and the Sangeet. Now, moving on to the next speaker, whose evaluator is Toastmaster Rashmi. Now, all Toastmaster stages to come on. Don't run. Toastmaster stages, don't run. Don't run. Toastmaster stages.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tejas Nair, and this is the story of my life, or at least of a part of it. This is the story of how Kerala police chased me for 3 years. It all started in 2012 at the height of my diploma final year exam. Already anxious with my impending exam. One day I got a call from someone who introduced himself as a cop. He said he was from the cybercrime division of Kerala police. I couldn't respond because his words had made me go numb. He then asked me to come down to his office in Trivandrum the following day. He might not have known that I was born and brought up in Mumbai, and I was talking from Mumbai at that point of time. The cop was soft-spoken, but his words were sharp and urgent. Gathering some courage, I asked him what it was all about. That is when he told me that someone had filed a case against me in Kerala. A copyright infringement case against me in which I was accused number one. It felt like the whole world was crashing down on me. Just about 19 years of old, just about 19 years old, I gathered some courage and asked him what it was all about. He again said the same thing, that someone had filed a case against me and I was expected in his office the following day. I couldn't know how to respond, so I panicked and I hung up. He called back and I kept staring at the phone till it stopped ringing. Half an hour later, he called back. This time, I handed it over to my sister, Anushri. I told her it was likely a fraud call. Because she was more courageous than me, she answered the call and gave him an earful. He did not call back, thankfully. Hours passed, days passed, even weeks passed. The cop did not call back. Perhaps now you know how bold my sister can get when she's talking on the phone. I was half relieved, but anytime someone would call me with an unknown number, I would panic. You could even say that I was under the weather all those days. Somehow, and it went on for a while, and somehow I passed my exam. The following year, 2013, again there were no calls from the cop. I was starting to forget that episode and move on. Fast forward to 2014, I was in degree college, third year, direct third year. I got a call from my college. It was one of my professors. She asked me to come down to the college immediately because a team of cops was there to see me. I froze. I immediately went pale. I didn't know how to respond. I cut the call, unable to decide what to do. I dilly-dallied for hours. Then finally, I gathered some courage. Then I rushed to the college. I thought I'll meet them. Unfortunately, they had left. The cops had left. There was no longer communication from the cops, but they had done enough damage during the visit. A letter was waiting for me at the principal's office. I said that until I go to Kerala and meet the cops, I should not be allowed to take the exams, final year exams. I didn't know what to do. There was no more communication from the cops. But then, thanks to the benevolence of my principal, I was allowed to take the exam. But still, I decided I will go to Kerala because I wanted to know what was going on. A few weeks after my exams, I flew to Trivandrum with fear as my only luggage. The fear of walking into a police station as a potential criminal. My uncle joined me because he knew someone who knew the commissioner there. But thankfully, he did not have to meet the commissioner because I was in and out of the office in 5 minutes. Surprised? So was I. What happened is when I walked into the office, they told me that had I cooperated with the cop who had called me 2 years ago, none of this would have happened. He told me that the cop was only trying to confirm if I was the right Tejas Nair. He was only trying to confirm if I was the Tejas Nair who he was looking for. It was apparently a case of mistaken identity and borderline identity theft. That is why I say for some things in life, you don't run, you face them. You have a crisis at work, you have a crisis in college, you have a crisis in a relationship. Don't run, face it. And that is why I say for some things in life, you don't run, you face them. Thank you.
Now, continuing with the speakeathon, moving on to the next speech, which will be evaluated by Toastmaster Kalyan Kumar. I'd request Toastmaster Kalyan to just wait for now so that everybody can know the evaluator. And I'd request the speaker, Toastmaster Sanjeev, to come on stage. Just wait for this.
Okay.
Thirty seconds. for everyone to write in the feedback. Hope everyone is done. Toastmaster Sanjeev, not an easy transition. Not an easy transition. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First of all, let me say it is not a very easy transition for me, and I'm not adept in public speaking at all. And stage is something which is the last thing I want to be in this earth. Okay, and after hearing, but the silver lining is after hearing Toastmaster pages, I don't think it frightens me anymore. The kind of horror that he has gone way through. So, guys, I belong to a city wherein people are very unusual, I would say. So they can travel 70 kilometers just to have a paratha and a chai. So those type of extreme level of insaneness is there. Um, people of Delhi are really wonderful in that sense. They can do anything to have a good food. But 2.5 years back, I came to Mumbai, and I found that people here are very minimalistic in terms of their fooding habits. A simple vada pav and an idli is enough to make them happy and move on. So there's too much of a fuss around food. But let me tell you, I don't belong to any of these places, right? Not neither Mumbai nor Delhi. I belong to a place which is much more known for its refinedness, much more known for its refined taste, and that is the city of Lucknow, also known for its nazakat. I'm sure you would have heard nazakat word. So I belong to Lucknow. So do you know anybody knows who was the king of Lucknow once upon a time? It was Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. Okay, so interesting fact about him is that he had 378 wives. So that is one of the most striking features that he had in his life. And sometimes I wonder how he would have managed, living in a close knit family of 378 wives and not fighting with each other and still maintaining that eloquence and that nazakat in him. So that still boggles my head. But honestly speaking, living in Lucknow and growing up in Lucknow for many, many years, it has brought a sense of, to see and appreciate the finer things in life, to appreciate things which are generally missed by people, I would say, at large. So that upbringing has brought me. So moving on, the school which I studied in, I was greatly impressed by my teachers and my principals and all. So I was fortunate to study in an Anglo-Indian school, and the way they were managing the school, the way I observed them, their mannerisms, really impressed me. And whatever I am is because of them only. So I'll tell you a very small incident. In my vice principal's office, there was a big poster of a chimpanzee, and that poster read, but before that, his name was Mr. Vida, Vida, not the chimpanzee, but my vice principal's name. So it read, in the post it was written, boss is always right. Rule number one. Two rules. And the second rule is, if boss is wrong, refer to rule number one. So I could not realize at that moment of time, but now I realize what it meant. So, and the chimpanzee, while the chimpanzee was there, not either a lion or a camel. So that was one thing. But growing in Lucknow and growing in these schools, I have studied law. The fun days of school obviously had to end one day. Then I landed up in college, and that was when my hormone levels started shooting through the roof. And eventually, I met a girl, and in due course of time, we kind of quote unquote fell in love. And then it so happened that she had exceptionally great communication skills. So the first thing that I did was to buy a book named Norman Lewis, named Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. So that it was a lifesaver. So that was so so that helped me in bridging that gap. But uh, although the relationship did not last for long, but before she went, she said that you have good writing skills at least. So half of the test was passed. Okay, so that was college. But all through my life, I've worked in companies, and Ramesh sitting here would know that we have worked in companies which greatly affect people's life. So 23 years of sales experience. I've worked in various types of roles as an individual contributor, as a branch manager, as a regional manager, national sales manager, now a general manager. So these have given an opportunity to learn and to help the society in different ways. Last 2 years of COVID was very exciting. Unlike many other industries, for our industry, it was very much exciting. And because that was the most extreme form of VUCA environment I've seen. Anybody knows VUCA? Yeah, so volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and all. So that was the extreme level of VUCA. Before that, we were listening and learning about VUCA, but that COVID taught what real extreme level of VUCA is. So moving on to the last piece of my speech is, anybody knows 70, 20, and 10 rule of learning? I thought of giving something to you as well. So 70, 20, and 10. No, Pareto is 80, 20. So 70, 20, and 10 rule says that most of your learning comes from experience and reflection. 20% of your learning comes from collaboration and teamwork, and 10% of your learning comes from educational things. So I'm looking forward for more collaboration, more teamwork to get that maximum count of 20%, and of course the 70% from here. Thank you.
Yeah. So 30 seconds for everybody to give the feedback. And the next set of speakers, please pay attention. Ensure that you are speaking from here. This is right, Maivan? Here till here. Beyond this, if you are going, you will get cut, and our recorder is playing a lot with us. So please do ensure that you are within this particular area. And ensure that you are speaking from a little behind also, so your forehead is also not cut in case you have got a longer height than me. Simon, leave it. And moving on to the next speaker, Toastmaster Sai Praveen is the evaluator for the next speaker. And with a warm round of applause, I would call upon Toastmaster Arun. So Arun, the rose that grew from the concrete, Toastmaster Arun. Toastmaster Arun, the rose that grew from the concrete.
I am the rose that grew from concrete. It's a phrase which is a very powerful reminder to me whenever I feel that I am in a difficult situation and feel like giving up. It never lets me because it reminds me of the past that I have faced. It gives me hope and energy and passion. Good evening, Toastmasters, fellow roses. I was barely 12 years old when few financial decisions of my family went wrong. And the hit of that into the iceberg put the Titanic sink. All the banks around us wanted to have our land more than we did. And they took it. And we were there, out on the road, left with only one mud and thatch house, almost a tent. We were forced into the world of farm labor. Whole day, loitering and toiling, whole family in the field of others, just to stay through, just to ensure that we are able to have some salt, some rice, and some potato on the plate. And that would be our gourmet for months. I'll tell you one unforgettable evening that we faced. So whole family would work, but I was young. So people would let me go a couple of hours before the sunset. When I came home one evening, tired and hungry, to my humble abode, I tried to enter the tent and I saw that a wild dog is sneaking from the other side. Eyes bulging out, sharp teeth, very scary. Here I am, and there is the dog. It was headed for a bowl of rice, kept in a bowl, plate ajar. You could see there is a rice. I knew that if I scare him, it will run away. I picked up a ladle from the ground and tried to scare it. But it was not a street dog. It was a wild dog. It was ready to fight. And I was not going to give up because that was my meal. That was my dinner. If I let it go, I'll sleep hungry. I took one step. Dog took one. And then suddenly he left. What I did, I closed my eyes. A hungry boy against a wild canine, you can imagine. It's like Jerseys versus Leonidas. I swung it hard. I swung it so hard that it went really early and I almost fell. Don't worry, I'm fine. Now, dog went over me and came back. Scratched me, almost bit me. And when I was crying in pain and agony, it took a full meal and went away. And there I was, beaten, lost, and hopeless. But you know what? Who am I? I am the rose that grew from concrete. I dusted off myself. And then I said to myself, wow, almost, that I will never face this situation again in my life. I wanted to come out of that suffocating place. I wanted a better life. So what I did, fortunately, I came across this story of Booker T. Washington, where he narrated beautifully how a slave black boy walked 3 days to reach a school, and there his first assignment was to clean the recitation room. And he cleaned it impeccably. And principal was so impressed that he let that boy in the school. And he studied, became a writer, educationist, and did great things. That was a great inspiration for me. Education was my way. I started saving all the money that I could. I would walk miles to save even 2 rupees. I would wear the same shirt every day till it is worn out, colorless, disintegrated. When I reached class 9, I started giving tuition to students of 8th grade. There were not many good teachers in the village, so I was in demand. Every day, I would teach 4 hours for next 4 years. By the time I passed class 12, I was ready to leave the village. I got admission in the city. Then from there, I studied 3 years, went to Irma, and then there was no looking back. I took education loan and paid it off all. And then I bought all the land in the village that was there. My friends, it's not that only I have faced difficulties. All of you have struggled in life. And all of us have unique way of our struggle and unique way of overcoming them. So my urge to you is, whenever you are faced with a difficult situation and want to give up, say this: I am the rose. Say this: I am the rose that grew from concrete. It will give you the hope and the power and the energy and the passion to fight back and not give up. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thank you. 30 seconds for everybody to fill up the feedback form. No, this was actually now second part. Moving on. Now the batch of icebreakers are over. Now we will be going to other projects, and to evaluate the speech of the next speaker, I would call upon evaluator Toastmaster Tanuja to come here and read out the speech.
Good evening, everyone. The speaker, Toastmaster Ruchi, is delivering level 1, project 2 speech today. Timer, please note the time, 5 to 7 minutes. The objective of the speech is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. So this speech is for the member to demonstrate that he or she has applied the feedback received from his or her first speech. Over to you.
I would call Toastmaster Ruchi. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Toastmaster Ruchi, beyond me, Toastmaster Ruchi.
Have you ever assumed a person was egoistic? Or have you wondered if that behavior was out of self-respect? Let's talk about ego and self-respect, which we use interchangeably, but there's a thin line between them. Sometimes we respond to events under the guise of self-respect, yet our injured ego is what triggers our responses. Let me share a personal story to exemplify this. Good afternoon, dear Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Few months back, I had volunteered for one day kids meditation session at Vipassana Meditation Center. It is a non-profit organization that depends entirely on the services of volunteers to function. I was delighted at the idea of spending quality time with kids, hence I reached the center an hour early. The kids had not arrived yet, but I noticed a few fellow volunteers mopping the floor. I wondered, oh no, why did I arrive early? Do I also need to mop the floor? It doesn't fit my class. I noticed a woman from admin department approaching and hastily ducked behind the wall. I walked out of my hiding place as soon as the lady left. I was astonished to see the fellow volunteers mopping the floor with zeal. The weather was hot and humid. Although they were sweating, they did not show a trace of discomfort. I was ashamed of my negligence. While still in dilemma, I grabbed the mop and began sweeping the floor. Dear Toastmasters, have you ever disregarded a task as low and menial? Nevertheless, you did it after being motivated by others doing it. The case showed up in an hour. Although I was tired, it all vanished on seeing the cute little faces. After the meditation session, we accompanied the kids to the dining area for lunch. Once lunch was over, I gathered all the used plates and handed them to a woman to clean. The lady was dressed simply in a cotton sari. The size end was fastened around her waist. Probably a maid servant was my guess. The lady requested me, "Hey, why don't you wash the dishes with water after I put on the soap? It will be faster." What? Do I appear to be a domestic help? How dare she ask me to clean the plate? It was a matter of my self-respect. It seemed that the lady read my thoughts, but she said politely, "No worries, I'll manage." I frowned carelessly and left the place. Later, when I was conversing with other fellow volunteers, I was taken aback to learn that the lady was the founder and CEO of a startup company, Pepper Fry. Around 500 employees reported to her. How could I judge a book by its cover? The lady was the head of a company, yet she was so humble and grounded. Yes, still water certainly runs deep. Dear Toastmasters, have you ever judged someone by the looks, attire, or lifestyle? Why do we give undue importance to the outward appearance while ignore the inner beauty? Why do we look down upon others because of our excessive self-importance and false pride? I was overwhelmed with guilt. I apologized to her for my blatant attitude. The lady was kind enough to forgive me. Now was the time to wrap up. I said goodbye to the kids. After the kids had departed, a volunteer asked me, "Hey, why don't you wash the covers of the meditation cushions?" This time I did not resist. I said, "Sure, I'll definitely do it." As I was cleaning the covers, I felt as though I was cleansing my ego. The dirt that had accumulated in my supercilious mindset was slowly being washed away. After doing the course, I felt lighter and liberated. Dear Toastmasters, recall the last time when you apologized or made amends for a mistake. Did you feel better? The day had taught me a beautiful lesson, and most importantly, to rise above my ego. In ego, there's only me. There's only self-interest, even at the cost of hurting others. What's worse, we are unconscious of it most of the time and think that we are protecting our self-respect. But self-respect does not involve belittling others or seeking to dominate them. Instead, it promotes a balanced sense of self-worth without undermining the worth of others. Therefore, let's put aside our egos and move forward. Respect others, irrespective of their social status. Never demean any work, even if it seems unappealing. Maintain modesty despite holding prominent position. A person's true character cannot be measured by possession, class, or luxurious lifestyle, but by the grace of his or her character. Therefore, be like a bamboo. The higher you grow, the lower you bow. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ruchi. 30 seconds for everybody to share the feedback. And just to share for icebreaker speeches, we give a standing applause so that some people are, if they're thinking they're coming for the first time, like couple of speakers we stood up and couple of speakers we didn't stood up. So just to bring it to the attention. So next song I'll just play and everybody with their ears attention. It is very, very famous. So I have to keep my eyes over here. I saw her, but I'll give a new person. Okay, who all? Arun, I'll give it to her. Which song? You can tell the lyric without singing. Let's give it to Arun. and one old. Some new face, and I'll give to Dharmesh. Yes. I'll give it to, yeah. No, no, Amit raised his hand, but I'm trying to give it to different people. Yeah, Dheeraj. Which? I can hear. किताबें box से पढ़ अरे क्या बात है you seem to have it. Now coming back to the speeches and to evaluate the next speaker, I would call upon her evaluator, Toastmasters Sangeeta Shruti. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause.
Namaskar. My target speaker, Toastmaster Sakshi Borkar, is on the pathway persuasive influence. She is doing level 1, project 4B. The objective of this project is for her to give a speech, receive feedback, apply the feedback, and give a speech again. She has previously given a speech and received feedback. This is the second part of the project. She will be giving the speech to demonstrate that she has applied feedback that she has gotten previously. Good luck to Toastmaster Sakshi.
Please welcome Toastmaster Sakshi with a warm round of applause. Toastmaster Sakshi, lost and found, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Sometimes we lose ourselves to discover what we might yet be. Well, this is a quote said by someone known as Patrick Rothfuss, a famous fantasy author. Well, in my case, I felt lost most of the time. The day starts and the day ends, and again the day starts and the day ends, and it continues. I was bored. And that's when I decided to do something interesting. I decided to enroll for a 7-day yoga course. Now, for me, doing yoga was not a difficult thing, but let me tell you, reaching on time is. My yoga instructor said, Namaskaram. For some people, 6:30 p.m. is 6:45 p.m. And for some people, 6:30 p.m. is 7 p.m. Obviously, I was the second one. If you are either of them, let me tell you, your 6:30 p.m. is 6:30 p.m. So even if you're 1 minute late, we would not let you in. And then you can enroll for the next batch. Well, that was a very strong warning, but in a simple voice. That's when I decided that I have to develop a master plan. Because here's the catch. My office, that I had to check in from my office at 6 p.m. and I had to reach the venue at 6:30 p.m. So I had only half an hour to travel from Seawoods to Kharghar. And my master plan was that I would leave my office and rush towards the station, catch the train that will be there at 6:04 p.m., reach the Kharghar station by 6:15 p.m. Then from there, I would reach the venue by 6:25 p.m. and I would have exactly 5 minutes to reach the second floor. And that was my plan. So the day was here. I was standing at the station at 6:04 p.m. correct. I was waiting for the train, and then there was an announcement. The train is late by 4 minutes. My heart was pounding. I was continuously looking at my watch. What should I do? Let me tell you, I cannot do anything. I was standing there and just waiting for the time to pass. The train came in, I got in. I reached the Kharghar station at 6:20 p.m. I had only 10 minutes. My God, I rushed towards the rickshaw wala. I told him, Uncle Bhagao, but Janda what he did. We zoomed through the streets of Kharghar and reached the venue at 6:28 p.m. I rushed towards the second floor and I was there. Was I in? But now people already know I wasn't. This time the door was closed right in front of me. I looked at my watch and it was 6:31 p.m. My heart shattered. I had to enroll for another course and wait for it to get started for the next week. But let me tell you, this moment was the most thrilling moment of my life because that day I lived each and every moment of it. That day I was valuing every moment of my life. That made me think, oh, my life is worth it. This made me found myself. Now here's another story that touched me thoroughly, that touched or blessed me. My daddy. So this story is related to my daddy. So she lived a very simple life, and she was not. Uh, she had a financial crunch when she was younger, and she only got an opportunity to study till 7th standard, and after that, she got married to my Dadaji. Now, my Dadaji is like a dominant man, okay, with a mustache and shakal coat. So my Dadaji was a stubborn person. You cannot correct him as well, okay? So if he says that the sun rises in the west, we would agree. So my Dadi had to live in a very conservative family throughout her life. She loved to watch movies, but she couldn't. And today, we don't have my grandfather. So she's free. So yeah, but she's free. And today, she also has a 24-hour companion, which is a phone. She watched Madhubala movies, she watched YouTube shorts, and she also hear music. So one day, I was sad with my job. There was something that was bothering me. So that day, my daddy came. She said, Beta, I have a secret to tell. I said, what it is? When I was of your age, I worked. I said, what? You worked? I thought that she was a homemaker throughout her life. I said, yes, I worked. I said, what did you do? She said, I had a job in the factory where there would be a plastic coil that I have to take, and then we have to wrap a wire around it. And this was my job. If I would do 200 of these rolls, I would get 200 rupees at the end of the month. Can you imagine? 200 rupees. I could see that glow in her eyes, and she was proud of it. So she said, if I would have gotten that opportunity to study like you, I would have become a businesswoman. Now, mind you, she's 83 years old, and still she had that spark in her. So she said to me, if you don't like this job, beta, it's okay. You can leave it. We can start business together, and I'll be your business partner. And that moved me. That sentence moved me because that strikes a spark within me. So there are times when we lose ourselves sometimes. And we have to find ways to find ourselves. For me, it was in two ways. One, learning to live in the moment, and two, getting inspired by other stories to reach to my goal and to identify my path again. So while you leave this meeting, I would like to leave you with one question. Have you found a way to find yourself? Thank you, and over to you.
Thirty seconds for everyone to write the feedback. I would call upon the evaluator of note speech, Toastmaster Meena. Please welcome with a moment.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. My target speaker is Toastmaster Anish. He is attempting the project Connect with Storytelling. So the purpose of this speech is for him to narrate a story within a speech or give a story itself as the speech. The timer, please note, 5 to 7 minutes. All the best, Toastmaster Anish.
Please welcome with a warm round of applause to distinguished Toastmaster. Toastmaster. Toastmaster Anish, the Bindu, Toastmaster Anish.
How many of you know the strange relation between words and sword? Sword. Toastmaster of the day and my dear fellow Toastmasters. Year 2000. I was very fortunate to start my career with the construction of a power plant project in my village in Kerala. My grandfather was very popular and influential man in that village. And for that reason, many people at the work site recognized and acknowledged me. But popularity has its own side effects too. I got shocking and inquiring looks whenever I tried to pacify the urge of a cigarette. But I could find a safe place in the project canteen. During the progression of the project, I made a good relationship with Sonu. He was my senior. He was 5 years older than me. But at times, Sonu admonished me for the impulsive decisions I had taken as a junior engineer. But he had tremendous respect for me. I also regarded him as like my elder brother. One day, feeling a bit under the weather due to lack of nicotine content in my veins, I moved to the project canteen for a smoke. The moment I entered in the canteen, a lady at the cash counter grabbed my attention. I had not seen her there before. Then, putting my dark sunglasses on, I started admiring her. I was adept in doing that one since college days. She was tall. She had elegant gestures, slender waist, and her hair, silky hair, falls on her face. Whenever that happens, she used to comb that hair with her hand. She had a red nail polish too. She wore on that day, it was a white pants, yellow kurta, and matching shawl. She was conventionally not beautiful, but something was sensational in her. Hello, sir. What do you need? She asked me with her sugar-coated lips, and her voice was music to my ears. And then, deciding to impress her, I removed my glass and looked at her and asked, I need only a cigarette this time. By the way, what is your name? My name is Bindu, she replied. And the look she gave me while handing over the cigarette almost floored me. And then, taking the cigarette, I put my sunglasses on and started admiring her, a detailed anatomical studies. And soon, this became a regular practice for next couple of months. One day, Sonu came to me along with Ravi. And Ravi is a worker. They wanted to withdraw some money from the Provident Fund account and they want my help to fulfill the application form. I was not much interested, but for Sonu, I obliged. Let's go for a tea, Anish. Sonu suggested as soon as I completed filling the forms. And let's go to the project canteen, Sonu. There is a sensational lady. I could not control my excitement. And at this time, Ravi, who was scooping the application form, turned back and gave me a quizzical look. I just ignored him and started giving the anatomical report I had been doing in the past 2 months. Sonu tried to communicate something with his eyes and some weird gestures. I ignored him too. And my detailed reporting in every part was continued. What's her name? Ravi asked me in an asthmatic voice. Ravi, her name is Bindu. My face was glowing when I took her name. And at the same time, Ravi's face turned red, and immediately he abandoned me and Sonu and pedaled away his bicycle. You! Sonu was furious. He was trying to control his anger. He shouted me like anything as soon as Ravi was out of earshot. I was bemused with the sudden behavioral change of this person, and I looked at him pathetically. You fool! Because of your great grandfather, you could survive today. You know what? I simply nodded my head like this. Bindu is Ravi's sister. I felt an hydrogen bomb falling right in front of me. And for a few seconds, I thought my heart skips the beats and my knees were not supporting my weight. Toastmasters and my dear friends, on that day, I realized the importance of avoiding casual talks. Because some casual talks has the potential to take you to the casualty and end the relations forever. Remember, words and sword have the same alphabets. If it is not used wisely, it would help you or it makes you bleed like anything.
Thirty seconds for feedback. Do fill in the form. Just a reiteration to the last speaker that the speaking area is around this much. we'll come to know. And now call the evaluator, Toastmaster Sai Sachin, to read on, please. Welcome with a warm round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. My target speaker, Toastmaster Ron, is attempting Project 2 from level 3 from the pathway Innovative Planning. The objective of the speech is for him to practice being aware of his thoughts and feelings, as well as the impact of his response on others. He would be sharing his experience completing the project. Timer, please note the time is 5 to 7 minutes. All the best, Ron.
Please help me welcome with a warm round of applause, distinguished Toastmaster Ron. Distinguished Toastmaster Ron, the gift, distinguished Toastmaster Ron.
Good evening. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why we call it the present. How many of you recognize this quotation? It's from a movie. Oh my God, so many hands. Somebody tell me. Kung Fu Panda, one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's full of beautiful wisdom, including this one. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am by no means a very positive or joyful person by any stretch of the imagination. I have had a very difficult childhood, and all my life I have struggled with depression, loneliness, different kinds of issues which I had to overcome throughout my life. It has been a very long journey for me to overcome those initial childhood moments
and come to a place today where I am happy and I am joyful most of the time. I would like to share this story of what I have learned along the way as I've journeyed from my past into the current future today. Many years ago, I used to be not in a good shape. I used to spend a lot of time in my past wondering about the regrets of my past, wondering about what I had done wrong, or I would spend a lot of time in my future worrying about how I would survive, how I would be successful, how I would pay the bills, how I would pay salary. And between these two poles, I was always stuck. But then I had the fortune of listening to a speech by a famous psychologist. She was talking about joyfulness, living in the moment. And then she introduced a very interesting concept called time traveling. And I was a little bit taken aback. Time traveling. What is time traveling, which is basically a science fiction thing, got to do with psychology? And she explained a very interesting concept. She said, all of us today, we are in our minds, are constantly time traveling. We are either going into the past and reliving old memories, or we are going into the future worrying about things. And throughout the day, we are going back and forth, back and forth. Some of you have already done this during this meeting. Am I right? Traveled either to the past or gone to the future. But what was very interesting about that speech, that lecture by that lady, was the thing that she pointed out. How much time do we spend being in the present? When I heard this idea, something clicked in my head. A missing piece of the puzzle fell into place. I said, this is it. This is the important part. I embraced this concept of being present with all my heart. I started being present wherever I could. I stopped time traveling as much as I could, and I started being present. And the results were simply amazing. My life completely changed. I started enjoying things. I started having beautiful experiences. The people around me were also happier because I was giving them my attention. I was amazed that just a small decision to be more present had such a huge impact on my life. I'd like to share a small story. Recently, I was having a mug of coffee in a cafe with our dear friend Toastmaster Vidya, along with other friends. And she was having a cup of coffee, and it was very interesting. It was not the way she had the coffee, but it was the way she finished the coffee. She went completely bottoms up, up, up. Last till the last drop of coffee she kind of had. It was a little bit embarrassing for her. But that is the way that you have to approach every moment. You have to take every drop of joy from every moment. Toastmaster Vidya is a real inspiration to me that way. And I am very fortunate that there are a lot of people in my life, including a lot of people in this room, who teach me how to enjoy and take the most out of each moment of my life. I would also like to add a note of caution about being mindful and being joyful. Few days back, I was in hospital due to stomach poisoning. I was lying on the bed with a saline drip in my arm, completely miserable, feeling sorry for myself. Looking at the room, and I was thinking, what joy can I take from this drab hospital room? What could I get out of it? And then I realized one thing. Not all moments are meant to be enjoyed and be joyful. There are some moments where you just have to endure with grace. You just have to wait till the storm passes and the joyful moments return. Life is always going to be this between joy and sorrow, joy and sorrow. But when those joyful moments come, when you're enjoying yourself, be present, be in the now, and extract as much joy out of it as you can. I would like to leave you with a small story. An old man and his grandson were traveling somewhere. They were walking on the road for a long distance, and they had to reach their village somewhere far away. But the old man was going very slowly. Every now and then he would pause, look at the scenery, look at the trees, the birds, and enjoying the nature. All the time stopping on the way. Now the grandson was a bit impatient. He got very annoyed. He said, Grandpa, we will never reach our place. What are you doing? Why are you stopping all the time? What are you doing? So the grandfather turned to his grandson and said, Beta, I am very old and I might die very soon. I will probably never come this way again. Since I'm here today, I want to take most joy out of this. We are all like that old man. We will never come this way again. We will never have these moments. We will never have this environment. It is up to us to take the joy from them, to extract the maximum of it. Remember, my friends, yesterday is history. Tomorrow, mystery. Today is a gift. That is why we call it a present. Toastmasters. Thank you. 30 seconds for everybody. We had an amazing session of features, desired features today. First to the eighth, all are great. I'm looking forward to the great evaluation from all the evaluators. Don't look at me. You just evaluate all the speakers. If I didn't want that awkward silence to that, so you can listen to me and then writing the feedback. Multitasking all the tags, role players. I've been doing that. All right, so before the break, couple of music to get you fresh and you longer. All attending here. Those are like anything. Yeah. But I'll give it to Samit. Yeah, yeah, give it a long way. The last one before the break. बेचारा अमित को भी दे दो. चलो, be careful. Silence. Not exactly. Sorry, आंखें तेरी हाँ. We'll come back by 6:40. 8 minutes. So snacks outside. Break. I'm good, yeah. Late again.
I had gone to Korean for.
Everything okay?
Yeah. My friend was not well, so
okay.
जाके आना पड़ा and थोड़ा late हो गया.
Good, yeah. At least you came. Sakshi. Sakshi. Dhoni. Thank you. Thank you. That was also very good. Sanjeev किधर है? रुचि. रुचि किधर है? रुचि. Oh, रुचि. तेजस किधर है? संजीव भी बाहर गया. Thank you.
Nice speech.
No, yeah. Powerful. Buggered it.
What do we outside?
I'm collecting.
No, you have to give it to the individual speaker. You have mine, you give it to me. Okay.
So I have to write my name.
You have to write the speaker's name. Your name, you can be anonymous.